There are not three better receivers
Committed highway robbery without a gun
than those three guys.
We got the three-headed monster out here.
They were just relentless. With that personnel, they would get you down, and they were just flagging it.
It's not supposed to be this easy for an offense to score like this.
Within that crew, they had sort of all the elements that you're looking for.
Number three. Evidently 2 pressures 2 weeks.
Yeah, y'all check me out. I look good.
Receivers are known to proclaim their greatness.
Well, y'all don't know, I just look like this. I'm the man. Big game, man. I got big game.
And as much as we love a good T.O. soundbite,
I love me some me.
On this list, we're more interested in how these guys function as a group.
Every great quarterback needs great receivers.
1, 2, 3. GSOE.
So what makes a great receiving core?
We got to be almost perfect.
Perfection is nice, but you'll need more than 2 receivers to make the cut.
We got too much firepower.
And no one-year wonders here. Longevity is a must.
Jerry Rice is the touchdown scorer of the century.
Hall of Fame and Super Bowl credentials will be considered as well.
A lot of y'all ain't got that out there. All of them.
So who's at the top of our list? Let the debate begin.
How could there be 3 better receivers than those 3 guys?
Here are our top 10 receiving cores of all time.
The number 10 receiving core of all time, the modern-day Colts.
The great thing about Peyton Manning and the Colts offense is that they can hurt you in a variety of ways.
Touchdown! Reggie Wayne! Touchdown, Dallas Clark! Marvin Harrison! He got it! What a circus kick! Touchdown! 87 yards! Whoa, doctor!
The Colts are our number 10 receiving core due in large part to their incredible 2004 season.
That year was extraordinary. 3 receivers over 1,000 yards, 3 receivers over 10 touchdowns, and it could have been a lot worse. There were 2 or 3 games where they simply called off the dogs in the 4th quarter.
Protection stays in. He throws to Stokely. Touchdown! That's the record breaker!
Oh, but they gonna say no, but I'll say so. He awesome, baby. He awesome, baby. He awesome.
103 receptions, 1,400 yards, and 12 touchdowns. That's not Marvin Harrison's best year. That's what he averaged over 8 seasons.
Top 10, I think without question, the numbers are going to say higher than that. I think people who underestimate Marvin just because of who he's been with aren't giving him his just due.
What a hell of a catch by Marvin there.
He's my number 1 receiver ahead of Jerry Rice all time.
But you're talking about Marvin Harrison certainly as one of the great receivers ever.
You know where the Colts are going to go with the football. They're going to throw it to Marvin Harrison, but sometimes you just can't stop it.
Just another day in the office, baby.
Touchdown, Reggie Wayne! Touchdown! Reggie Wayne! Touchdown, Reggie! And the crowd chanting Reggie.
Reggie Wayne would be the number 1 receiver on most NFL teams.
Touchdown, Reggie Wayne!
That was a thing of beauty.
A lot of people thought was always Marvin was 1 and Reggie was 1A. And there was a lot to that until this past year when Marvin goes out with a knee injury and Reggie's the guy. And what does he do? He has his best season of his career. With all due respect to Marvin Harrison, right now, Reggie Wayne is the go-to guy.
What a catch at the 35, one-handed by Pro Bowler Reggie Wayne.
But the Colts wouldn't be our number 10 core without one heck of a supporting cast.
If a defense takes Marvin Harrison out of the game, you've got Reggie Wayne. If they concentrate on the outside guys, you've got Dallas Clark or Joseph Adai out of the backfield. Peyton Manning, I think in his lucky stars that he's had the great receivers to grow with.
Unbelievable, the juggernaut that's been turned loose.
I know Peyton Manning is pretty happy. All those guys are featured number 1 receivers on just about any other team in the league, yet they all work together and, ultimately won a championship.
The Colts are world champions!
Some Super Bowl runners-up finished just out of the running on our countdown. Andre Reed, James Lofton, and Don Beebe got the K-Gun to 4 Super Bowls, but couldn't make our list.
What a way to end a tremendous season.
Steve Breston, Anquan Bolden, and Larry Fitzgerald each had 1,000 yards in 2008 as the Cardinals won the NFC.
Larry Fitzgerald stabs the ball out of the air.
Good day to throw. Yeah, not always. Yeah.
In 2007, Randy Moss set a single-season record for receiving touchdowns, and Wes Welker caught 112 balls.
Touchdown, Patriots. Championship football.
But you don't have to reach the big one to crack our top 10.
The Patriots will not be perfect.
It was another Moss-led group that made our list.
The number 9 receiving core of all time, the Vikings of the late 90s.
We got the three-headed monster out here, 86, 80, 84.
Deep downfield, it is to Carter, one-hand catch.
That was a one-handed catch.
What a magical receiver that guy is.
Chris Carter, Randy Moss, and Jake Reed. You had 3 threats that could hurt you on any different level. Deep, short, intermediate, inside, outside.
What a great catch by Randy Moss. Touchdown, Jake Reed. Chris Carter, touchdown. What a catch by Carter.
After being released by the Eagles in 1990 for substance abuse, Carter was signed off the waiver wire for the modest price of $100.
They got him for a Benjamin. It ranks right up there with the Louisiana Purchase.
Chris Carter, it is caught. Carter, touchdown, Vikings. Greatest catch I've ever seen.
The guy never dropped passes. I remember playing in a Pro Bowl with him and him making catches in practice that was like, are you kidding me? Like, this guy really is one of the greatest receivers of all time, in my opinion.
Chris Carter with a one-hand grab.
There's no way you can tell me this guy is the greatest receiver in the league.
Probably the best $100 the Vikings ever spent.
Make the play. Yes, sir. Make the play, won't nobody else make. That's what makes us different.
Deep downfield, touchdown, Vikings.
They call me the freak, man.
Culpepper deep in the end zone, caught. Super freak, touchdown.
Randy was a big play threat on any given down.
Lobs right side end zone, caught. Touchdown.
Look at them boys over there doing all their practicing for the D-ball. Y'all ain't gonna stop it.
They throw the ball up there as far as they could, and he'd come down with it.
And Randy Moss just goes up and just makes it effortless.
Throw it up above his head. They can't jump with me. Golly.
The memory I'll always have is Thanksgiving Day at Dallas, Texas Stadium, and the Vikings blowing the Cowboys out.
Fires to the sideline, caught by Moss, makes a tackle, 45-40, pouring it out, 20. Oh, another touchdown, Vikings.
Randy Moss caught 3 passes, all touchdowns, all over 50 yards.
What we playing today, you ain't got to worry about us. No, don't you worry about us.
It was playground football at its finest.
Touchdown, Vikings, Randy Moss.
I think 2 of them will be in the Hall of Fame, and I think Jake Reed, people don't remember how valuable he was.
You gotta love this game, huh? You gotta love it.
He had an era of about 3 or 4 seasons where he was incredibly productive.
Deep to Reed. Oh, to the 20. At the 15, Reed 10. At the 5. Touchdown, Vikings. We know we're the best offense in the league. Let's play like it.
To be the best of their era, our number 9 receiving core got some help from their backfield.
When you're trying to defend Randy Moss, Chris Carter, and Jake Reed, I don't know who you have left to try and slow down Robert Smith. The guy was a phenomenal open field runner.
80, what you gonna do today?
I got my A game.
You got your A game?
A game?
He got his A game.
Deep to Chris Carter. It is caught. Touchdown.
You got a little speed.
I had to go get that one, yeah.
It's nearly impossible to slow down a team like that.
We got too much firepower.
The 98 Vikings rang up 556 points, second only to the 07 Patriots. And their video game offense never scored less than 24 points in a single game.
That was one of the greatest catches Randy Moss has ever made.
The number 8 receiving core of all time, the Posse.
Individually, Ricky Sanders, Gary Clark, and Art Monk. Collectively, the Posse.
You had 3 perfectly complementary receivers, so you were pretty much picking your poison.
Anybody could have that great day, depending on how the defense was playing.
Grabs it. Touchdown, Washington Redskins.
The Colts might have done it most recently, but the Posse was the first trio of wide receivers to each eclipse 1,000 yards receiving in the same season.
Monk is wide open for a touchdown.
Art Monk was such a danger. If you were a defense, you had to double Monk. And that left Sanders and Clark one-on-one.
Fires it into the end zone. Touchdown. Wide open at the 5. Touchdown.
All of a sudden you go, uh-oh, we got to take care of Sanders and Clark. And there goes Monk.
Throwing it down the middle of the Monk. Touchdown.
To me, what's really amazing when you have 3 receivers like that is that you're able to keep them all relatively happy.
Touchdown.
Redskins always did a pretty good job of that.
What an incredible catch by Gary Clark. Got a man. Diving catch. Touchdown.
Art Monk dropping a pass was like something you document. I don't 3 passes he'd ever dropped, I remember. He was an absolute clutch player.
Despite ranking 6th all-time in career receptions, the Posse's ringleader was passed over for the Hall of Fame 6 times. That all changed in 2008.
I don't want to single anybody out, but Art Monk got in. That's pretty neat. I know it's been a long wait for him.
Got him on the run. It's Clark. Horse race.
Gary Clark burned out treadmills at Redskin Park. When he decided he wanted to play football, his dad said, okay, you're going to have to be able to run. So he would put him out on a country road in Harrisonburg, Virginia, and follow him in a car. And if he slowed down, he'd get run over.
And he's going to throw another fly pattern. There he is. Touchdown.
Monk was like the muscle car that was great at key possessions. Clark was sort of like the small little sports car that could go in and out, nooks and crannies. He had deep threat as well, but Sanders was just pure speed.
Speed is great.
He would run by you as he did the Broncos in that Super Bowl.
Got Sanders on the fly at midfield. He's gone. Touchdown. Washington Redskins.
Sanders set Super Bowl records with 193 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns.
Sanders in the clear at the 10. Touchdown. Washington Redskins. That's a new Super Bowl record.
After the Super Bowl, we had an opportunity to go to the White House and present President Ronald Reagan with a football and a jersey.
They came in and said, Rick, you're going to go in last. The president going to yell your name and you come out and catch the ball. I'm like, all right.
He got to the mic and he said, where's Ricky Sanders?
Where's Ricky Sanders?
Where's Ricky Sanders?
4 years later, our number 8 receiving corps would win their 2nd Super Bowl, this time besting Buffalo's K-Gun offense.
Going deep. He's got Clark. Touchdown. Washington Redskins.
Many great receiving duos were 1 star short of making our list.
Touchdown. Brett Perriman. Herman Moore. What a grab.
But the omission of 1 pair in particular caused quite a stir.
Don't John Stallworth and Lynn Swann?
What's wrong with you guys?
No, that's a bad move by somebody.
Let's face it, fantasy leagues have permeated our minds to the point of making us all stupid. All we do is look at numbers, so I can see why they're excluded. But I saw those guys play. I know how good they were. They were extremely good.
Stallworth, Swan, and who was their tight end? Huh? Grossman? Give me a break. The guy couldn't even run down the field 7 yards.
Thanks, Phil. But 1 prolific duo did come in at number 7.
The number 7 receiving corps of all time, the Marx Brothers.
You could take Mark Clayton or Mark Duper and hold their numbers up, and they're twice the career numbers of Lynn Swann.
He may go. Duper scores. 25-20. Duper, they'll never touch him. Touchdown.
I wonder, with another quarterback, with the Marx Brothers, would we ever remember them? I doubt it.
Were they really stars, or were they just products of Dan Marino?
You know, it's easy to say, hey, it was Marino and Marino in his prime. They were unstoppable.
Caught for a touchdown. Holy Toledo, what a grab.
They probably couldn't have done the things that they did without Dan Marino, and Dan probably couldn't have done the things that he did without the 2 Marx Brothers.
10, 5, touchdown Dolphins.
I'm glad you sat up here enjoying this.
And you got a guy like a Mark Clayton that, I don't care how small the hole is, he's going to find a way to get in there and sit down, catch the football, and then break tackles and get into the end zone.
Mark Clayton was just a great athlete. He was a small receiver, but he became a big receiver in the secondary by his ability to jump and go up and get the high throws.
Both feet in bounds and held onto the football, showing what a great receiver he has turned into.
You got a guy like Mark Duper, you just throw it for as you can, he go get it.
I'll tell you, when Duper gets in behind anybody, it's Katie bar the door. He runs the 40 in 4.25.
You know, he was a track man playing football.
He was pretty small of stature, small and stocky. Didn't really look like a wide receiver, but boy, he could burn it down that line.
Touchdown! Mark Duper!
But a duo does not a receiving core make. To rank number 7 on our list, the Dolphins had to have another weapon.
He looks, lofts to the corner of the end zone. Nat Moore, touchdown!
To me, Nat Moore is the greatest receiver that's ever played for the Dolphins. People talk about Paul Warfield and they talk about the Marks brothers, and those are great players. But to me, Nat Moore was the most well-rounded receiver the Dolphins have ever had.
Moore got in behind safety, and then the old man outran him.
He had it all. He understood the game, physically gifted, tough as hell, one of the most ferocious competitors I've ever known.
33-yard pass play to Nat Moore.
What this receiving core lacks in Hall of Fame and Super Bowl credentials, it makes up for with its record-breaking 1984 season.
That was a year of fireworks in Miami.
Here's Marino, wide open field, throws for a touchdown, and there's the record. Number 37 on the season.
That was quite an arsenal that Marino had to work with, and it's no wonder that he set records that would be stratospheric.
That's 18 touchdown receptions in a season. He is the all-time record holder.
As you start to look at the guys that were probably ranked ahead of us, I can guarantee you on any day, anytime they want to lace it up and let's go at it, we would be the class of that game.
The number 6 receiving core of all time, the 70s Raiders.
Well, I think 6 on the list is, I don't know who. It must have been somebody back here on the East Coast, some young kid who really didn't understand football.
I don't even want to know who 1 through 5 is.
That is totally wrong.
I'll tell you, the Raider trio of Branch, Casper, and Biletnikoff were fantastic. Biletnikoff caught everything.
Kenny could throw the ball anywhere, on the ground, in the air, in the end zone. He could tip it. He could catch it with one hand.
Long pass, a leap in the end zone. Biletnikoff makes the catch. The pass is caught by Casper. Touchdown, Raiders.
He was a big man that had the hands of a violinist.
Yasha Heifetz never played a violin with more dexterity.
He was just very smooth, very fluid, but also very physical.
Casper had a way of getting open, and he would not be afraid to take a hit or deliver a hit.
You got a tight end who's got arms. His mother must have been a gorilla or something. His arms are like an extra foot long. His hands are huge.
He's got Casper. Touchdown, Raiders!
I think I like to be perceived as anything but a football player, and I don't know why.
In terms of his personality, he gave you the feeling that he was not bored with the game, but he was bemused by the game.
If you're going to be a great football player, you're going to be a little weird.
Going deep to Branch, one-on-one with Riley, a leaping catch. Touchdown, Raiders!
Every time you think about Cliff Branch, did he ever go short? No, he was always going for 80 yards.
Throwing the bomb to Branch. Branch, a great catch, 5-yard line, touchdown, Raiders! Branch committed highway robbery without a gun.
Not just a fast guy, but a fast guy who absolutely knew how to play the ball brilliantly.
Branch against Livers. Branch catches it. Touchdown, Raiders!
Of those 3, Cliff Branch, to me, might have been the best guy. And I remember talking to some of the Chargers, and they said of that group, Branch was the guy who scared them the most. And yet, Cliff Branch is in the Hall of Fame. I'm not sure why.
With all this talent, why is the Raiders receiving core only number 6? Maybe a sticky orange goo is to blame for their slide down the list.
Was it cheating? There was no rules against it.
Every team in the league had that stuff.
I just put on a little just to make it tacky enough, just to see what it would be like, and it was amazing.
Biletnikoff, touchdown Raiders!
And I always carried it on my sock so I could dab my fingers in it all the time.
The worst thing was that he always had gum. Now his fingers are all filled up with stickum, so there's no way he's going to open up the gum.
And he couldn't put it in himself. Not when he put all that glue on him.
Fred didn't need it. That was the interesting thing. I mean, he had the best hands of anybody I've ever seen play the game. If he could get a fingertip on it, he'd find the rest of the way to get his hand on it.
In Super Bowl 11, the controversial pass catcher set up 3 Raiders touchdowns and was named the game's MVP.
There are not 3 better receivers than those 3 guys. Think about it. You got a tight end, could catch anything, and didn't care about getting hit. Best tight end that ever played a game. You got Freddie Biletnikoff out there, absolutely the best possession wide receiver. And then you got Cliff Branch over there, and there's not anybody in the league that can run with the guy. How could there be 3 better receivers than those 3 guys? I'll take the Raider receivers number 1, hands down.
And now the number 5 receiving core of all time, the 60s Redskins.
I think our passing attack is very explosive because we have receivers who are very, very fast.
That Redskins offense is easily one of the most explosive in NFL history.
It was an offense that seemed at times unstoppable. They were really rewriting the record book.
The Redskins' most impressive entry in the NFL record books came in 1967 when they finished 1st, 2nd, and 4th in receptions. 5 years earlier, Redskins owner G.P. Marshall traded for Cleveland Browns running back Bobby Mitchell.
Whoa, I'm going to the Washington Redskins, of all places?
Washington was the NFL's only all-white team until the federal government forced Marshall to integrate.
I don't think he liked blacks. I don't think he liked Catholics. I don't even think he liked his own family.
His friends will tell you that he really wasn't a racist, that he just was somebody who didn't like to be told what to do.
I'm standing out on the field, and Bill McPeak, the head coach, comes out. He said, "What do you think about going outside as a receiver?" I said, "Okay."
The move paid off, and the pioneer member of our number 5 receiving corps was later elected to the Hall of Fame. Charlie Taylor was Rookie of the Year as a running back, but that didn't stop his head coach from cooking up a new recipe for success.
Charlie Taylor could not harness his speed at halfback, so at midseason, Otto Graham switched him to end, where Charlie had room to roam.
I can only think of 3 people who made that transition pretty well. It's Lenny Moore, myself, and Charlie Taylor. Charlie was a tremendous competitor. He never felt that the guy on the other side was better.
The guy was just so tough. Defenders would bounce off of him.
Here's a guy that came into the league as a running back, and when he retired, he was the number 1 receiver in the history of football.
In 1984, Taylor became the 2nd member of our number 5 receiving corps to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
I think what makes it really special is the tight end. Jerry Smith caught a lot of touchdown passes for that team. He held the record for touchdown catches for a tight end for a long time.
Smith's record of 60 touchdown receptions stood for 26 years.
Touchdown, Jerry Smith!
While his numbers warrant Hall of Fame consideration, rumors of his homosexuality might be what has kept him out.
I don't want to say for certain that it was his personal life, but that's really the only logical conclusion. To not even be a preliminary nominee for the Hall of Fame doesn't do him justice at all.
I believe football should be fun for me as the coach, and also fun for the players, and fun for the fans.
It was fun for everyone but the New York Giants on a day the sky rained footballs.
At the center of that storm was our number 5 receiving corps. The Redskins' 72-41 win remains the highest scoring game in NFL history.
The number 4 receiving corps of all time, the 49ers of the 80s.
4. The 49ers of the late 80s couldn't carry a tune, but they sure could catch a pass.
Oh, John Taylor, what a touchdown reception!
It was an embarrassment of riches in a variety of ways, too. One guy was a third down guy. One guy was a touchdown guy.
Touchdown, Jerry Rice.
One guy could break one when you least expect it.
Taylor will go. Touchdown for the 49ers.
So it was a spectacular array of talent.
It was pretty amazing, the clockwork of that offense, and you just knew that somebody was going to be open.
So if they all go and just concentrate on this part of it or this part of it.
But was the success of our number 4 receiving corps due entirely to Bill Walsh's West Coast offense?
The system was really the key for that passing game. If the receivers weren't open, you could look into the backfield and maybe throw it to Roger Craig, or you could have a tight end like Brent Jones.
While the system was crucial, no group executed it better than the 49ers.
The thing that you have to give that group credit for was they were taking this newfound offense and now showing the world how to play offense.
What a catch he made on that for the touchdown.
Well, I think Jerry Rice is the greatest receiver of the modern era. Jerry's numbers during the regular season are remarkable.
He's done it. Jerry Rice is the touchdown scorer of the century.
But he was just as good, if not better, in the postseason.
Looking for the end zone, throws a pass, Jerry Rice. Touchdown 49ers. The boy is going to party tonight.
I think you could say unequivocally that Jerry Rice was the greatest wide receiver that ever played the game.
He's amazing. He's just doing things that no one else in this league is doing.
Jerry Rice was surrounded by greatness. Tom Rathman and Roger Craig at running back.
Lobs it to Craig. Touchdown 49ers.
Roger Craig, of course, being the first guy in NFL history to receive and rush for 1,000 yards in the same season.
Roger Craig is a rare find among NFL running backs. A man possessing sprinter speed, fullback power, and receiver's hands.
John Taylor on the other side.
For the end zone, leaping catch. Oh, John Taylor, what a touchdown reception.
You know, you had the Montana to Rice, but boy, there was always Taylor there. You know, he was one of those kind of days where, hey, we got Rice bottled up, but wouldn't you know it, John Taylor goes for 18 catches for 240 some odd yards.
It's a touchdown! John Taylor, another spectacular touchdown!
Super Bowls are a mark of greatness, and that's why the 49ers are our number 4 corps.
Back to back, baby.
Super Bowl's the credential. Super Bowl is the credential everyone's measured by.
Steps up, throws.
I don't know that I can recall an offense being that powerful and that unstoppable.
If you're going to rank the receiving corps of all time, you might as well put at number 1 the one that has the greatest receiver who ever lived. So, yeah, Niners number 1.
We shall pay any price, bear any burden.
Overshadowed by the coronation of Camelot, pro football experienced its own revolution in the swinging 60s. Prolific receiving corps in both the NFL and newly formed AFL shattered records and featured several future Hall of Famers. The Philadelphia Eagles had a one-dimensional offense, but that didn't stop Tommy McDonald and Pete Retzlaff from winning an NFL title.
Everybody they played knew the only thing they could do was throw the ball. And yet they went out every week and they were still able to win because these receivers were that good.
Led by Billy Groman and Charlie Hennigan, the Houston Oilers scored over 100 touchdowns in the AFL's first 3 years. But it was the Los Angeles Rams a decade earlier who pioneered the vertical passing game.
The number 3 receiving corps of all time, the 50s Rams.
The Rams really threw the ball around the field in the early 50s.
And Mr. Elroy, Crazy Legs Hurt, is touchdown bound. Norm Van Brocklin drops back, throws an arching pass upfield. Reggie Tom Pierce gathers it in on the dead run.
If you had some, good, quick receivers, you're going to be very, very difficult to defend. And the Rams had 3 excellent ones. I mean, they had Elroy Hirsch. He was almost impossible to tackle. You had a guy like Tom Fears, who caught all the intermediate stuff. And then you had Bob Boyd, who was an NCAA 100-yard dash champion.
But Bob Boyd gets both hands on it and races to complete a 61-yard touchdown play.
Our number 3 receiving core benefited from Coach Clark Shaughnessy's innovative three-end offense.
That was an offense that was way, way ahead of its time.
They brought into the game the spread of wide receivers, and in fact, they would even take a tight end, spread him out, and in some instances had as many as 5 wide receivers in formation. That was really revolutionary.
It was a formation that you'd see from time to time in the NFL, but only in desperate circumstances. But with the Rams, it was a staple of their offense.
Norman Van Brocklin to Tom Fears. Sears the Lion secondary, and the ball's on the Detroit 14.
Waterfield tosses a nifty aerial to Crazy Legs Hirsch.
In Crazy Legs, the Rams had one of the all-time nicknames to go with one of the all-time receiving cores.
I wobble back and forth, and the legs go kind of like an egg beater. If you've ever seen a girl run from behind, I run kind of like a girl. I always appreciated it because anything's better than Elroy.
But nobody was better than Hirsch, whose numbers were dazzling.
He had 17 touchdown catches in a 12-game season. The average gain on those 17 touchdowns was 48 yards.
Quarterbacks used to say he had eyes in the back of his head. He could outstretch his arms and pull a ball in over his shoulder, seemingly without even looking behind him.
Crazy Legs Hirsch is in the clear, and it's touchdown Ram.
As is tossed to Tom Fears, sears the defense and brings tears to the Green Bay supporters, while Los Angeles nears the promised land.
Tom Fears is a Hall of Fame receiver, but his career almost went down a different path.
As a rookie, he came in. He was actually playing on defense, and in his first game had 2 interceptions, I believe, returned 1 for a touchdown. And at that point, his coach decided, well, that's too valuable of an asset to be putting in on the defensive side of the ball. And he said, this is a guy that clearly has the ability to be a ball hawk.
Tom Fears, the young rookie from UCLA, who was to win the receiving championship in his first season.
Fears set a record with 84 receptions in a season, and his mark of 18 catches in a game stood until Terrell Owens broke it 50 years later.
Right side to Owens, who makes the catch and is rating a new record every time he catches the ball now.
To this day, the Rams hold the record for receiving yards in a game with 554, making them a core for the ages.
You had 2 Hall of Famers in Hirsch and Fears, and then you had a guy, Bob Boyd, who had 1 year where he gained over 1,200 yards receiving, which is back in the 12-game seasons. That's 100 yards a game.
Fires to Bob Boyd, who makes a beautiful catch.
In terms of the way they impacted the game, I think the Rams of the 50s will stand as one of the great passing teams that ever played.
With the Smurfs and the Fun Bunch, the Redskins may have cornered the market on great receiving core nicknames.
The Smurfs, Smurf 1 and Smurf 2 back into the game.
But they aren't the only group to get a great pigskin moniker. One could say the Broncos had a plethora of receivers, more commonly known as the Three Amigos.
Touchdown, DeMarc Jackson.
And who could forget the receivers of Houston's run-and-shoot offense?
Over the middle, cut. That is Drew Hill. Touchdown.
But our next receiving core may have the greatest nickname of all.
The number 2 receiving core of all time. The greatest show on turf.
It's the greatest show on earth.
Unreal, Torrey Hall. He's amazing.
My gosh, it was an explosive offensive football team.
Touchdown, St. Louis.
They were just relentless. With that personnel, they would get you down and they would just flatten you.
They got a straight-up track meet going on in St. Louis.
I mean, we could strike at any point in time in the game.
We had so much fun. That was so much fun. Everybody scores in this offense.
Over a 3-year span, our number 2 receiving core had the league's number 1 offense, setting records for points and total yards.
Put it down, man. Big game.
You had Mike Martz, who just threw caution to the wind, and this is what we do, try and stop us. I love that mentality from the offensive side of the ball.
When that group was together for those 3 years, that's a pretty incredible group.
How about that offense? Yeah!
I think those receivers at that time with that offense and that running back, I think it was a perfect marriage that they all came together at once, and you saw what could happen.
It's not supposed to be this easy for an offense to score like this.
Pull your boots up. Score on 3. 1, 2, 3, score.
Wow. Touchdown, Torrey Holt, who is absolutely on fire. Did you just see that?
It was amazing. I mean, he was a #1 pick, so you thought he'd be good, but I didn't believe he'd have the impact that he had in his rookie year.
Holt followed up his breakout rookie year by leading the league in receiving yards in 2000.
Torrey does it all. Torrey's a great deep receiver. You have to roll the coverage to him, otherwise he's going to kill you.
Torrey's there, the touchdown Rams.
The best on 3. 1, 2, 3, the best.
Unbelievable. Well done by number 80.
He's quietly had one of the best careers ever in this league.
The late Jack Snow always said he was the best route runner he'd ever seen. And the thing about Isaac Bruce was he would never drop the ball that I can recall.
And it is caught by Isaac Bruce, and they won't catch him today. Touchdown, Rams!
Do not be afraid of excellence.
Yeah.
The Rams would not be our #2 receiving core without Marshall Faulk. The former MVP averaged 83 receptions, over 900 yards, and 7 touchdowns over a 3-season period.
Marshall Faulk could have played wide receiver if he wanted to, because he was that good at just running pass routes.
We would put him out there by himself, and they would leave a corner out there, and he would routinely beat that corner like a wide receiver. It was incredible.
Touchdown, Rams!
1, 2, 3, GSOE!
Oz Hakeem and Ricky Prohl make the greatest show on turf, the deepest of all the receiving cores on our list.
Torrey would come out of the game, and Oz Hakeem would come in, and he had the capabilities of catching a short one or a deep one and going all the way. And you take Isaac Bruce out of the game, and a Ricky Prohl would come in, and this guy, you look at him like, is this slow white guy who's going to beat me? And he would beat you.
Ricky Prohl with a grab.
So when you go look at those 4 receivers, and you throw Marshall in the group as a receiver, it's a pretty special group now.
And the Rams are just going right up and down the football field. And we ain't going to stop.
And neither will our countdown.
And now, the #1 receiving core of all time, Air Coryell.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Air Coryell and your pilot, Dan Fouts, welcome to San Diego.
Coryell just brought a complete passing game. He changed the whole outlook of San Diego football once he got there.
If their offense was on the field, you didn't want to leave the room. If you would hold it, if you had to go to the bathroom, or you were hungry, or you wouldn't want to blink.
Throws it in the end zone for Chandler. He's got it. Touchdown, San Diego.
That team gave the town exactly what they wanted. The lights were just on full time with that offense.
He is going for Jefferson. He's got it. Fires it long downfield. He's got Joyner. Touchdown.
He was so good that when our coaches were teaching the younger players how to run routes, they would say, watch Charlie. That's how you run that route.
Charlie Joyner is the all-time leading receiver in the history of the National Football League.
An NFL Ironman, Joyner played for 18 seasons and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1996. Joining Charlie in the Hall of Fame is Kellen Winslow, who, it can be argued, is the best receiving tight end ever.
Winslow was the X factor. This guy reinvented the tight end position.
He had the speed that most tight ends didn't. He had the hands most tight ends didn't. He could get in places that most tight ends couldn't.
Everybody equates a passing team with a finesse soft team. Nobody called Kellen Winslow soft. At least they didn't call him soft twice. He would catch the ball, and then he had an attitude and that he was going to try to hurt somebody after it.
Kellen Winslow, Hall of Fame. Charlie Joyner, Hall of Fame. Now you take John Jefferson, who in a brief window might have been the best of those guys.
John Jefferson, just freakishly good.
He's going for Jefferson. He's got it.
I remember J.J. Jefferson being one of these guys that had a tremendous hunger for the ball. If he was going to be around it, he was going to get it.
When he came in the National Football League, people said, put his name on the first ballot Hall of Fame.
Kellen, a friend of mine told me that you felt like you were the best receiver the Chargers ever had. I mean, I was the best receiver while we was there. Okay, so I left early.
After a contentious contract dispute, Jefferson was traded to the Green Bay Packers and replaced with Wes Chandler.
Let
Wes, please. Can I have Wes, please?
Wes was almost a clone of myself. In fact, he was probably faster. Of course, he drafted high. He could do a lot of other things I couldn't do.
Jump ball. Chandler had to take it. How did he get it?
Wes Chandler, in 1982, if there hadn't been a strike, would have had 2,000 yards receiving.
He might well have 1,000 yards in this shortened season. That's phenomenal.
It's hard to believe.
John Jefferson and Wes Chandler, in my opinion, believe it, are better than some of the wide receivers that are in the Hall of Fame.
Only an inferior defense kept our #1 receiving corps from winning a Super Bowl, a shortcoming that almost kept them out of our top spot.
Throws it in the end zone for Chandler. He's got it. Touchdown, San Diego.
But Air Coryell gets a pass for being innovative, prolific, and dominant. And yeah, having a cool nickname doesn't hurt either. So that's our list. And while it received a chilly reception from some,
what's wrong with you guys?
That is totally wrong.
We hope it grabbed your attention.
Hunter, one-hand catch. What a magical receiver that guy is. Greatest catch I've ever seen.